sometimes you just don't know where to start. It's just amazing, it really is. You know, she's our 43rd governor. She was a lieutenant governor. 4 terms as treasurer of Clark County. And all I can tell you is that every time I hear her name, see her name in print, or see her in the media, I just smile. I mean, we are really, really lucky. You know, there's several types of leaderships, styles that is normally taught in business school and government school, etc. You have your franchise leader, you have your situational leader, but really the most difficult leadership style is transformation. And our governor is rewriting the history books. I mean, you talk about a transformational leader. She's given us the largest tax cut in the history of Iowa, and more to come. And those tax cuts were in corporate tax rates and individual rates. She gave us record investments in education, unprecedented, that never happened before. She cut 21 agencies of her cabinet. That's whittling down government. And then she's had $1 billion budget surplus the last 2 years, almost $2 billion, 1.8 million and 9 billion. I mean, that's unheard of. You know, and the thing that I really enjoy about what she's done financially to our state, I'm a finance guy, is when I read the gloom and doom, the naysayers, that every time she proposes something and says this is what we expect, they also tell you that the sky is falling, there's no way it can be done, it's going to hurt everybody, particularly the poor people or the middle class. And again, it's so entertaining to me. They make me laugh. I mean, you can't buy this kind of stupidity. And and then there are the two that just, you know, we're going to build a Mount Rushmore here in Iowa, and she's going to be the face of it. I mean, the two really most important ones that she has got across the finish line. Universal school choice. Yes. I mean, that's unbelievable to allow parents to be in control. To allow parents to be in control of their children's future. You know, most people don't recognize something. My 2 best friends, by coincidence, through a mutual interest, hunting and fishing, I met 45 years ago. They're 2 eminent psychiatrists and psychologists. In fact, one of them has been on 60 Minutes, I don't know, 6 or 7 times, because he's considered such an expert in child psychology. And I'll never forget the conversations we've had, and in particular, education. And what they told me, and these were professors at Northwestern University, Boston College, eminent in their field, they said, Frank, 2/3 to 3/4 of what you learn in life, you learn from your parents. Your parents. Think about that. Right? That's how important parenting is, and we stick all our resources in education, but really the investment needs to be in good parenting. So she got that across the finish line. And then my favorite. I mean, every time I think about this, you know, the heartbeat bill. You know, several years ago, they discovered bacteria on Mars. Bacteria. It was dead. front page news on the New York Times, front page news, the Washington Post, all your liberal newspapers, exalting the fact they found life on Mars, a dead bacteria. And then I scratch my head. But a beating heart, a little beating heart in a human being is not proof of life on Earth? You've got to be kidding me, right? So, without any further ado, it's just my honor and pleasure to introduce our governor, the great governor of the state, of the great state of Iowa, Kim Reynolds.
Well, thank you, Frank, for that very, very kind introduction. Golly, I should probably just sit down and just let it go at that. Bless your heart. Thank you so much. But I will tell you, first of all, thanks for all you do on behalf of the party too, and I know you're involved in all aspects of it, so we're very grateful, especially for a lot of the letters that you write and just really getting our points across. We need that on our side because we know they have the national media, mainstream media that's, you know, parroting everything that they're doing on a daily basis. So thank you for everything that you do for the party. I really appreciate it. And, you know, let me just start by saying it's just an honor of a lifetime to serve as the governor of this great state. I never dreamt in a million years that I would be serving as the governor of Iowa, but I am honored beyond honored. I love this state. I am so proud of Iowa. I am so proud of Iowans. And the values that they stand for, faith, family, our incredible work ethic, our sense of community. And I want to tell you, I get to see that every single day. I am all over this state, and especially this year. In 2 months, Iowa unfortunately received 3 presidential disaster declarations. It started in Greenfield with tornadoes, followed by just incredible flooding in northwest Iowa, 5,000 homes impacted, 2,000 completely destroyed. In between both of those, we had a series of derechos and wind and hail, and you know, it just has not stopped. And at every turn, I have seen the incredible resilience, I think, of Iowans, but just neighbor helping neighbor. I have had so many Iowans say, don't worry about me, Joe across the street, he needs your help more than I do. This guy right here, the representative, was on the ground that night helping people get help, getting them out of their homes, clearing roads, being a first responder. And we both went back the next day and just couldn't really believe how much how they had picked things up and changed things. But it reminds me every day how blessed I am to have the opportunity to serve in this capacity. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. The other thing that I've been very lucky, first of all, is to surround myself with an incredible team. I have a lot of big ideas and a lot of things that I want to get done, and I really have the best and brightest on staff as directors, and then have an incredible legislature that we're lucky to have the trifecta. You've got 2 of them that represent you in a phenomenal way at the state capitol with Senator Sinclair and Representative Sorensen. But yes, ideas, and they're separate branches of government, but we really are focused on Iowans and doing the right thing and really, you know, serving them. And so it's been a real pleasure to have the opportunity to work that closely with them. So I am very, very blessed. I also am very blessed with an amazing family. The first gentleman is with me tonight, so I love him to be here. He does a great job. And I'm proud to say he serves on the Madison County Republican Central Committee. So how about that? I don't know who said the first people in caucus, but she had him. There was no way was he going to tell her no. Then he wouldn't serve and be a part of it. And then, of course, my mom and dad are here, Charles and Audrey. So thank you for forever and ever and ever. I love all of you to pieces, and so thank you so much. And then I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. This is an incredible turnout. Everybody is busy. There is a lot going on, believe me. And for you to take the time to be here tonight, to be active in the Republican Party to help us raise money, get the word out, help elect Republicans up and down the ticket, and just to care, to be here, to care not only about our state, but about this country. It really matters, and it matters now more than ever. We are at unprecedented times. I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and I'm going to flip the page, and I'm going to tell you why they need to act more like Iowa because of the things that we're getting done. But it really matters. So just a heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for being here and for making a difference and being active in the Republican Party. You know, I had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to go to the convention. I've been to probably 4 conventions. This was the best one by far. The energy, the enthusiasm, the resolve that I felt just walking into that convention was motivating. It was absolutely inspiring to be surrounded by so many patriots who believe in this country, who are united for this country, and are willing and ready to go to the mat to make sure that we change the direction this country is headed in, and we elect Donald J. Trump as the next president of the United States of America. Inspired because we cannot have another 4 years of what we have just witnessed. America is in trouble. And with the Biden-Harris administration, the list is long. I'm not going to go through everything, but it starts with an open border that can only be described as an intentional. We've had over 11 million illegal immigrants that have walked across our border and into our country. Think about that. Every single state today is a border state. Every single governor across America is dealing with tremendous increases in violent crimes, in drug seizures, in drug overdoses, with the amount of fentanyl that is pouring across the border and into our communities and killing our children. We have seen inflation and the cost of living skyrocket. And all they tell us, and all the Main Street media says over and over, is the economy is great, there's no inflation, gas is cheaper, food is cheaper. They literally think we are idiots. We are living it every single day, and they are so out of touch with reality and what is happening. There is a weakness on the world stage that is causing just uncertainty across the world, and it's emboldening our adversaries. You know, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, Iran, the Middle East, Israel, the list is long. And that is a lack of leadership and the certainty that is created from leadership from America, and we're paying a price for that. And then you wrap that up with, we actually had an assassination attempt on a former president and the Republican nominee for president. This is third world country. This is unbelievable, unprecedented, and it's not the America that we grew up in, the America that we know, and the America that I want, the United States of America that I want. We want our 11 grandchildren to be a part of it. I am proud with the way that, you know, that we're responding as a party. I think it shows the country that there is a way back. We celebrated our values and our principles at the convention, and this was just days after that assassination attempt. There was no rioting, there was no violence. Instead, there were patriots that stood together with a resolve to save this country and to stand united. You know, Trump's a fighter, and no matter what you say, he loves this country and he believes in the greatness of America. And we knew that before he pumped that fist in the air, really defiant in the face of evil, and told us all to fight, to continue fighting for this country. They have targeted him at every turn, and he has showed, you know, brings a little bit of it on, so, you know, we all have to be a little realistic about what's happening, but he has showed time and time and time again that he won't be deterred, he won't be silenced, he won't be stopped. And so my message with going through all of this is we have to show that we won't be stopped either. We won't be silenced. We won't be shut down. We're not going to live in fear anymore. And intimidation, that's the way they roll. It's win at all cost. for them. And so we have to be intentional, we have to be deliberate, and we have to show up because America is on the line. And it looks like, you know, the coronation is in, so without getting a single vote, without going through a primary, without talking about a policy or a position. I mean, this is democracy at its best, right? That they accuse us of destroying every single day. And here again, we're watching them live it out. The Vice President, Kamala Harris, is the Democrat nominee. And she's gonna love for us to forget what she has actually stood for and said over the last 4 years. And the media is going to be complacent in helping her really hide and reverse everything that she's said and done, and the list is long. And you know, we know what's going on. We are engaged citizens. She was the border czar. She was. And I have been to the border more times than she has been to the border. Now, I realize she hasn't been to Europe either, but, you know, she has a responsibility, and she had a role, and she has failed. And so we have to make sure, because they are going to try to erase it, they're going to try to act like it never happened, they're not going to give her an open mic, they're not going to let her, they're going to manage her very closely. So we just want to make sure that we let everybody know that this is a California liberal, that she has been rated the most liberal senator in the United States Senate. Worse than Bernie Sanders. Now just think about that for a moment. She owns that, and she's very proud of it. She actually is for an open border. She has made it very clear that she won't treat illegals that have entered the country as criminals. She will not prosecute them. As vice president, she was the casting vote that increased the debt by $3 trillion. One of those was the Inflation Reduction Act. Now just soak that in for just a moment. I mean, you know, maybe it is everything. $3 trillion, and it was tied in the Senate. It would have died. She came in, was the deciding vote for both of them. When it comes to the Green New Deal, in her words, she described her Green New Deal policies as the most aggressive and the most progressive. That will absolutely kill our economy. She wants to do away with real meat, and it will kill agriculture, which is the foundation of our economy. She provided resources for the defund the police movement, which left rioters and looters free. And I want you just to remember this. She supported and helped drive mandating vaccines in order for you to go to a restaurant, to go to work, to serve the country. And this is the same candidate that opposes requiring proof of citizenship to cast a ballot. 11 million people, and refuses to require proof of citizenship to cast a ballot. So that's the bad news. That's all the bad news. But that's how serious it is, and I've only scratched the surface. So get the facts, share them, and make sure that your friends, your neighbors, your family, if you can talk about it at the dinner table, really know what we're up against here, because they're going to portray her as just the best thing ever, and we need to get behind her, not us, but you know, everybody needs to get behind her and get her elected, and it would be devastating. We are resilient. We will come back after 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration, but we won't have a country if we have another 4 years under her leadership. So, as I wrap up, I want to tell you how proud I am to say that things are just a little different here in Iowa. This is a yay, yes, a Washington. This is a place where freedom thrives, where we work really hard to empower people and not government. And the leaders and the elected officials that you send to the Capitol in this party, we respect the people that we serve. We give Iowans and communities, I think, the tools to really succeed and prosper. We have tried really hard as a team to lead with bold, conservative, transformational change. I love it. I love seeing what's happening. And I'm telling you, it just fires me up to keep doing more, to look at places that we can be better and continue to drive Iowa's competitiveness. Frank talked about it, but I have signed into law 5 tax reform bills since taking office in 2018. 5. We'll go. We'll go from the 6th highest individual income tax rate to the 6th lowest. Thank you, legislature. We've moved it up 1 year. Next year, January 1, we'll go to a flat 3.8%. Yay! With inflation in ways that we can, but we also no longer tax inheritance. We no longer tax retirement. We've reduced the corporate, but we've done it in a sustainable manner. We're working on property taxes. I know we have more to do. You've got great supervisors that are, I think, aligned with what we're trying to do. One that's on the ballot. I need help. So I'm going to get my house in order. We'll work with local governments to get their house in order, but we have to do it. That's the only way that we can bring really property taxes down. And when you aggregate those 5 tax reform bills that I signed into law over 10 years, that equates to $24 billion for individuals that pay taxes in the state of Iowa. So that's significant, and as Frank said, we're not done. We've reduced government and red tape. It started with cutting 21 agencies from my cabinet. We are leaner, meaner, and more efficient. I have just so many stories to tell you of how we went from it taking 6 months to get a physician's license to 2 days. We eliminated a 5,400 case backlog that was projected to take a year and 3 months. We did it in 3 months. And the list goes on. And we'll actually save Iowans, I think it's like $250 million over 3 years, and believe me, that is a conservative estimate. From the savings that we're seeing, it's going to be more than that. We cut almost 90 boards and commissions and really returned the power back to you and elected officials. We've reduced red tape. We put a moratorium on new rules and regulations until we do a comprehensive review of all of the regs and regulations that are on the books, to just ask a simple question: is it necessary? Is it doing what it's supposed to do? And is it inhabiting or causing barriers to people that are trying to create jobs and help us grow the economy? In addition to that, we've invested in workforce, we've invested in infrastructure, broadband and housing and childcare, 3 really big components of workforce. We have invested in mental health and healthcare. We want to make sure that no matter where you live in the state, you have access to affordable, high-quality health care. And our HHS director is doing some really innovative things from that perspective, too, that I think will make us stronger. One of the other things that we've done, and that's why we can continue to cut taxes, is we've kept spending in check. We're investing in priorities that are important to Iowans, but we're also not going crazy and spending more than we take in, and so that's allowed us to continue to see growth. We've led an education revolution across the country. People are looking at Iowa and following our lead by giving parents a choice in their child's education, whether it's public school, private school, charter school, homeschool, open enrollment, all of it. You get to decide what the best environment is for your child, and we're going to see we're going to see education be elevated across the board, because competition is actually a good thing. It's good. It'll make us all stronger no matter what we do. I'm proud to say that we passed the largest teacher salary increase in the history of the state. Not a single Democratic legislator voted for that. We also increased Paris salaries as well. They are so instrumental in our classroom, helping our teachers. So I'm really proud of that. We want people coming to Iowa. We want to keep the best and brightest in education. We want them to know this is a really important career for them to go into. We eliminated radical DEI policies at our state universities. We eliminated CRT in our classroom. We're American history so these kids that graduate know how amazing this country is. We have protected girls' sports. We protected life. We protected farmland. We protected our Second Amendment. We protected our children. We sent, I'm really proud of this. I'm almost done. Sorry. And we're not done. But we I'm really proud to say that we sent law enforcement and troops to our southern border, not once, not twice, but 3 times, to really help Governor Abbott in, securing the sovereignty of this country, and most importantly, protecting Americans. And every single officer and soldier that went down to the border volunteered to do that. And I had 3 times the volunteers than I was able to send. It says so much about the men and women who wear a uniform and defend our liberties and freedom and our safety every single day. We did pass a law to stop the revolving door with illegals coming in and out, and I got sued by the Biden administration for simply codifying a federal law that's already in place. We didn't go above and beyond it. We codified exactly what is on the books at the federal level that this president refuses to implement. And we increased penalties for fentanyl that's related to death. So our fiscal health is strong, our national profile is rising, and that is with significant challenges from the Biden administration. We've been recognized, and I think as taxpayers you should appreciate this, thank you again to our legislators, as the most fiscally responsible state in the country. Number 1 state to retire in, number 1 state for low cost of living, number 1 state, I love this, for millennial home ownership. Great way for our young people to build an asset. Number 3 for opportunity, 6th best state in the country to live, work, and raise a family. We've made the top 10 list for the last 2 years. I'm shooting for number 1, at least in the top 5, so we're gonna get it done. But, so I'm proud of what we've done as a team. I'm excited about what lies ahead. I think there's still a lot of amazing things that we can do, but absolutely none of this would be possible without you and without the people of Iowa. None of the victories, none of the policies that we've talked about, none of the legislative wins, none of the local wins, not the trifecta at the State House, not the all-Republican congressional delegation that we sent because of you out to Washington, D.C. If you make it happen, elections have consequences, and we did have a red wave in 2022, one of the very few states that did. So we just have to do it again and encourage the rest of the country, once again, to follow Iowa's lead. And not only do we have to elect President Trump as the next president of the United States, but we have to give him a team. We have to make sure that we have a majority in the House and the Senate so that he has the trifecta and he can do exactly what we did here in Iowa. We didn't think about it, we didn't store that capital, we didn't hem-haw, we acted. We told Iowans what we were going to do, and we did it, and we did more. So we have to give him a team. You have to keep my team, our team in place. And again, that's local, state, and federal. So again, I'll end where I started. Thank you for giving me, the honor of a lifetime. Who would have thought that this little girl, get emotional, growing up in St. Charles, Iowa, that took her 40 years to get her college degree, that has an incredible husband, 3 beautiful daughters, and son-in-laws, 11 grandchildren, could stand here and represent the amazing people of this state. So thank you. God bless you, and thanks for all of you.
Didn't I tell you? She's right, she needs a team, teams win, individuals don't. Teams win. You gotta work together. Which brings me to our next guest, who I'm just getting to know. She's a lot of fun, and she's really smart. She served 2 terms as a Board of Supervisor in Wayne County. lives on a farm. I mean, that's a big checkoff for me. Iowa Senator since 2013, President of the Senate. That's a little clout. Serves 9 counties right now. 9 counties. So without further ado, Amy Sinclair.
You know, I wrote a speech, and it was what the governor said, right? So I'm just gonna wing it, Frank. I'm really just gonna wing it here tonight. I'll be briefer than maybe I was. But seriously, do we not have the best governor in the entire world? I tell this story and it embarrasses her. I know it does, but I was in Florida at a conference, and Governor DeSantis was speaking at this conference in Florida, and they brought me up to him to introduce me to him, and I shook his hand and I said, "I'm Amy Sinclair, Senate President from Iowa. You're my second favorite governor." And I wasn't lying. But everything that the governor just said is so true. So really, I did. I had all these notes written down, and I talk about I talk about the $100 million in property tax relief that we just passed, and I talk about the income tax becoming a flat tax, and eliminating retirement so grandmas and grandpas can stay here with their kids rather than dragging their kids to a place that isn't you know, as friendly, or that's more friendly. You know, we talk about the constitutional amendment to protect Second Amendment rights. Iowa didn't have that. And upholding parental rights. And it's more than just universal school choice, guys, because some parents don't have the opportunity to take their kids somewhere else. It is about empowering parents to be in charge of the curriculum and the education that children receive in the public schools too. It's bigger than just that. Anyway, we talk, yeah. Since I really don't have a speech here, I'm going to tell a story about Nathan calling me one day, and he goes, I was just threatened with police at my kid's school. You got to do something about this, Amy. And do you remember, I texted the governor, I'm like, do you know this is going on? And my phone rang, and I looked down, and I'm like, uh-oh. And so I told her the story of what happened, and she goes, well, do you have an idea to fix it? I said, yeah, I can come up with an idea to fix that. She goes, get it to my desk, I'll sign it. And we did, and it was getting rid of the masks. We should not have been forcing 5-year-olds to leave masks on when they're trying to learn to read. So little did y'all know in the room that Nathan kind of inspired that by calling me that day and saying, I'm about to get arrested. Sorry, probably should have gotten your permission before that. Iowa's had the trifecta for about 8 years. I served 4 years in the minority. I got really good at just keeping bad things from happening sometimes. We've had the trifecta for those 8 years. And I don't know if you guys understand what that actually means for you here in the state. The state with the most fiscally responsible state in the nation, guys. And that doesn't come by accident. The best state for opportunity, those things don't happen by accident. We started 8 years ago on a path forward. And I might get emotional saying this, but in that first year, Senate Republicans knew we had 2 years guaranteed to do all the things you needed us to do. We knew that was all we had guaranteed. And so we put our foot to the floor, and I will never, ever, ever forget Jack Whitver saying this to me. Jack Whitver said, this is a team of people who want to do something more than they want to be something. And that matters. So we marched forward dealing with life and dealing with some collective bargaining reforms, and we marched forward with tax reform, and we defunded Planned Parenthood that first year. That was a wild year, I'm not gonna lie. I've had people hex my house. It's on TikTok if you trust that thing. So really, I don't need to re-say what the governor's already said. Iowans have expected us to do big things, and I think we have. I will never forget somebody saying, you did the things you promised you were going to do. I said, well, yeah. What did you expect? Well, you're politicians. We didn't expect that. We will do the things we promised to do. And I haven't told this to anybody because I didn't read the article. It doesn't matter. But I was interviewed by the Des Moines Register about the heartbeat bill going into effect this past week. And I remember they said something to me, well, aren't you worried about how this will impact your election? And I said, I've been elected 3 times already, telling people that I was staunchly pro-life and that I would never waver from that. When I might be convinced on any other issue, if you've got facts, I will never waver from being pro-life. No, I'm not concerned about whether or not that impacts my election, because if it does, I saved lives, and I'm okay with that. And that matters for Iowans. It matters for one particular little Iowan who comes and visits me in my office once a year and reminds me that she only lives because of the work that we did on life over the last 8 years. You know, you mentioned that we have the 5th highest teacher pay. That's not adjusted for cost of living. 5th highest cash teacher salary, not adjusted for cost of living. And we are the cheapest state to live in. So, I'm really just going to begin at the end of my speech and wrap it up. We've still got a lot to do, and I want to talk about what we have to do. But before that, I want to talk about where we are as a nation. I remember years ago we were talking about, I think it was texting and driving or something, and I remember Brad Zahn introduced this amendment to the bill that it was a strike-after amendment, so it got rid of all the bill, and it just said, common sense shall be used when operating a motor vehicle. And Pam Yoga, who was president of the Senate at the time, ruled common sense not germane in the Iowa Senate. Let me assure you that for the past 8 years, common sense has been what's been in charge in the Iowa Senate, in your legislature, in your state governance, and I'm so very proud of that. But there is still more to do. And so I want to talk about how we do that. We are sitting at a pivotal point in our nation's history. I've been in politics a long time. I know I look 25, but I'm not. I've been involved in politics really... So my son, on my birthday one year, I said, I'm going to have some friends over, we're going to have dinner and probably play some board games, whatever. You can stay at home if you want, you can go to friends if you want, it doesn't matter, I'm just having friends over. And he said, well, that's fine, they won't bother me. And I said, and then he paused and he said, I've been calling you 25 so long, I don't know how old you actually are. You're a good kid. You're a good kid, Carson. Anyway, we are at a pivotal time. I've been involved in politics, actively engaged in politics for probably 20 years. And in that time, I've heard about 1,000 different people say, this is the most important election of our time. You've heard it? Some of you have said it. It's not true. For the last 20 years, they've been important elections, sure. I would suggest that in 2016, when the Iowa Senate took control, that was a pretty pivotal election. But never, ever, ever would I claim that this upcoming election is the most important election of our lifetimes. But ladies and gentlemen, this election is the most, this is the first time you're hearing this out of my mouth, this is the most important election of our lifetimes. It is, without a doubt. If we don't reinsert common sense into our system of governance, we are going to fall apart as a nation. We had an assassination attempt on a former president, current presidential candidate for a major party, followed by what can only be described as a coup in the other major party. Couple that with no borders. If we were any other nation other than the United States, the UN would have peacekeeping troops in our country. This isn't right. It isn't democracy. They are robbing us of our democracy while blaming us for it. I made my kid read last summer, 1984, because I said, this is happening right now. They're robbing us of our history so that the past doesn't matter and the future is whatever they make of it. Be aware this is the most important election in our history because we have more things that we need to do. I'm going to be a little call to action since I really don't have any content to talk about now, Governor. Here's the call to action. You have local, all politics is local, guys. That's why we're here tonight. You have local elected officials and candidates in the room. Whoever's on the ballot at the local level, give me a wave. I know there are at least 2 of you I've talked to. Oh, well, you're not on the ballot, but you're serving. Heather. Jason, there, see, I've got 3 local electeds in the room here. Guys, we need you. I will never forget when we were doing property taxes a year and a half ago, Heather walked into the subcommittee and I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? She goes, I'm going to be here because I'm going to be a supervisor who says you're doing the right thing. Local politics matters. Having people like that stand up and say, yes, we need to get our arms wrapped around this property tax system. And she showed up when it mattered for you guys. So your 2 locals who are on the ballot for the Republican ticket, help them. Help them however you can. And then take the next step up. Bubba and I are both on the ballot. We both have opponents. Bubba's opponent's a little... I just met her this week. It was a treat. My opponent has a published article chastising us because we aren't proactively asking people their preferred pronouns. She put a picture of her 2-year-old son on Instagram in a dress saying that they were challenging gender narratives. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not our values. Bubba and I need your help. This was not part of my speech, by the way. This was just winging it here, Governor. We need help. And take it all the way up. Zach Nunn needs your help. His is a 50-50 seat, as close as you can get in the nation, and he is targeted by those congressional Democrats. We do not need to lose control of Congress. We need to keep that seat. And all of that rises up to the level of the President of the United States, and we need to be sure that we get President Trump back in office so that we aren't inundated with a wide open border and drugs out of control and people dying because of it. We aren't inundated with mass migration that disrupts our economies. And we need to get spending in check so that inflation will stop, so that your dollar lasts longer. It's ridiculous that 20% increases in food prices, and they try to tell us that we're no better off. That's not true. It's not higher. Yes, it is. You know your paycheck goes no further. We're now 2% less in real income than we were 4 years ago because inflation. All politics matter. We still have more to do. We need your help getting it done. Let me just talk about that. We need to work on property taxes still. That is a system we have to get our arms wrapped around. Your supervisors know it, and we know it. And not because we don't believe that local governments need money, but that system has just been band-aided together over the last 100 years, trying to stop, you guys seen that Monty Python skit where the knight loses his arm and his other arm? Just what a scratch. We've been putting a Band-Aid on a Monty Python-sized scratch for far too long, and the whole system needs to be revamped so that you can even understand what you're paying for. We need to get that constitutional amendment to the 2/3 majority to pass increases to your taxes. We need to get that through another General Assembly and onto the ballot so you guys can tell us that it should take as many votes to pass a tax increase as it does to get one of the governor's appointees through. We still have work to do. We need your help to do it. I'm here tonight. I didn't come to ask for help, but since the governor told you that Iowa is the best place to live, work, and raise your family, I will tell you we need your help to keep it that way. Thank you so much. God bless all of you.
Is this heaven? It is.
No, it's Iowa.
It is. All right, our next speaker really doesn't need an introduction. I remember the first time I saw that Freedom Rock in the Adair County. It just blew me away. I mean, just blew me away. And I love his name, Ray Bubba Sorensen. My best friend in college was named, well, I gave him affectionately his nickname, Bubba. So, an American par excellence artist. What he's done is unbelievable. The idea that you put 50-ton, whatever those things weigh, rock in every county in our state, 99 counties. You've got to get good at drawing. I mean, repetition makes perfect, right? And so he's famous for his Freedom Rocks, and he's also famous for doing a heck of a job in the State House, our State House representative, Ray Sorensen. Oh, by the way, one more thing I got to say. Both Ray and our great governor and her husband are alumni of Iowa State University. And that means
I, much like our lovely state senator, you took most of our speech, you know, you did great. She's so great. I think I drew the short straw. I speak after two amazing women leaders in our state, and here I am to, I guess, sum up. I'm not going to speak near as long. I'll reintroduce myself for those who don't know me. Bubba isn't my God-given name. That's my dad. I was a fat baby. He thought it would be hilarious. So I got stuck with that. Didn't realize my real name was Ray until it was far too late. So Bubba it is. So feel free to call me Bubba. That's fine. I'll introduce you to part of my campaign team. My lovely wife Maria here. She is my business partner, my clerk, my wife, and couldn't do any of this without her. We have 3 kids, Independence, Michael, and Liberty, and they're part of the campaign team too. And you know, we own a mural painting business, as Frank said. Kind of been busy painting Freedom Rocks across the state and country. But when Claude out there, I don't know for this, you don't know Claude, he was a 40-year state trooper. He called me up and goes, "What are you doing, kid?" And I go, "Well, I'm painting a mural." Claude goes, "Not now, now you're running for office." So, you know, I never really thought about it until then, and we kind of hit the ground running, got elected in 2018. So I'm running to be your state representative again for a 4th term. As you've heard from the governor and our senator, that Iowa could be a pretty dang good country if we had to be. We're running it right, we're doing it right. The federal government is doing it wrong. I don't need to reiterate all that stuff, but that is an amazing point. You did such a great job of illustrating that, both of you. But what I will say is, my goals, you know, why would you vote for me? I kind of take 3 goals up to the State House. One of them is budget. I sit on appropriations. It's very important to me that I do what you guys would want me to do with your tax dollars. Not spend more than we take in, not fund things, not fund ongoing expenses with one-time monies, just simple budgeting practices. That's always been a huge goal of mine. So that's 1. 2, I have a really crappy connection to the internet. And that was me. There's probably a few of you. And it's really bugged me. We're a small geographic state, we're in the center of the country, and I think that we stand a chance to connect every single Iowan to a broadband or better connection in our state. And so that's always been a goal of mine. And when I first got elected, I felt like I was talking to a wall. Nobody would listen to me. The governor was listening, and it took me a while to get the legislature on board. I tell you what, one of the blessings of COVID, everybody realized how much of a utility the internet was, and a good internet connection. And so that, you know, I think first years, I think I begged for and got a $5 million appropriation, and then after COVID, $100 million all of a sudden. So, you know, it was one of those things where now we don't even use state money anymore. There's so many federal grants out there. And in her reorganization, the OCIOs changed to the Department of Information Technology, or do it, and they are doing it. They're doling out those grant funds, and we, as a legislature, we pushed it to the underserved and unserved. That's very important to me, to get to the, we don't want to make everybody that already has a connection better. We want to get to those folks that live clear out in the boonies. We want to make sure that they're connected to the internet. So if something bad happens again, if God forbid we have another pandemic or we're forced to stay home, that we can all work and go to school still and have that connection. And number 3, it's always been important to me to serve those who serve us, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our fire and EMS, those that are always on the front lines every day, that who we take for granted. I want them to have a voice up in Des Moines, and I hope to be that voice. And so those are my 3 goals that I take. I can't really go through, I mean, I just go through every single thing that our wonderful governor and state senator said. You know, those are the things that make Iowa great. Those are the things that we've done for you. And like Senator Sinclair said, we're not done. We have so much left to do. She has a fundraiser coming up. I think she's got an incredible speaker that's headlining that. You guys may know her. Those are things to go to. I have a fun fact about me, I'm in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Probably don't look like it, probably shouldn't be. But the guy that gave me the jacket when I got inducted into the Hall of Fame, Dan Gable, you may know, he's going to speak at my fundraiser. So if you guys want to come hear some politicians speak and a dang good wrestler, those are the opportunities to help us raise money, to help us get Republicans elected up and down the ballot across the state. We really appreciate your support. You guys are amazing, and thanks for having us.